Hi world, this is my astrological forecast for everyone, for the planet, for the globe, for February 2025. January's been a time of unusual developments, and in the background there's a growing sense of not quite foreboding, but as if it's a sense that something's coming up. And if you're picking up on that, you're absolutely right. I see it as a kind of midpoint between anticipation and trepidation. So let's have a quick look at all the movement of the individual planets in February 2025, and then I'll summarize it. Okay. So let's start from the outside and move in. Pluto is still moving forward in Aquarius, but we're past the conjunction of the Sun with Pluto. That happened around the 20th, 21st of January. And now Pluto's beginning to slow down, but it's still moving forward throughout February, jockeying for position. Similarly, Neptune is moving forward at the end of Pisces, getting ready for its first transition into Aries, which will be happening at the end of March. Uranus is about to start moving forward in Taurus big time, and it's going to gradually pick up speed over the next couple of months. Saturn is beginning to accelerate. Saturn is beginning to move faster and faster in the night sky, and is moving forward well into the second half of Pisces now, and it's going to really pick up speed over the coming few months. Jupiter will stand still and stop going retrograde on the 4th of February at 11 degrees of Gemini. So it's going to stand still at 11 degrees for Gemini most of this month, but it's going to slowly start inching forward. Similarly, Mars is going to stop going retrograde on the 24th of February and start moving forward again. It's going to stand still at 17 degrees of Cancer. Venus starts the month in Pisces, but then moves into Aries, where it will spend most of this month before going retrograde at the beginning of March, middle of March, and that is the real start of the big lineup that's coming at the end of March. And Mercury starts the month in Aquarius, moves into Pisces, and approaches the end of Pisces by the end of February. Obviously, the Sun starts the month in Aquarius and ends the month in Pisces. Now, there will be a full moon and a new moon this month. The full moon comes first. It's on the 12th of February at 5 minutes to 2 in the afternoon, UK time, and it's taking place at 24 degrees of Leo. Now, on the one hand, it's going to be the Sun opposite Moon, as it always is on a full moon. Mercury will be very close to the Sun, 1 degree away. You're not going to be able to see it, obviously. So the full moon will also be opposite Mercury, but this is not unusual. What is a little bit unusual is that the Sun and the Moon and Mercury will all be square to Uranus. This suggests that the ongoing sort of revolution, the uncomfortable shocks of January will continue into February and indeed probably accelerate in the first few weeks of February. And I do expect some startling news around technological development and on restrictions and acceleration of technological development and technological availability. The new moon, which is coming up on the 28th of February, will be at 9, nearly 10 degrees of Pisces. It's on the 28th at 1:45 in the morning, UK time, and it's going to be squaring Jupiter, but not that strongly. It's a new moon in Pisces, nice enough, harbinger of times to come. There are no major aspects happening this month. Of course, there's conjunctions, oppositions, trines and sextiles from Mercury and Venus to the other planets. Mars is flirting with every other planet in the background. What's unusual is that over all of January and for the first half of February, we're getting a spectacular light show in the sky. You can see Venus and Saturn to the west for an hour or so, hour or two after sunset. Jupiter to the south and overhead around 8 p.m. and Mars in the east at around 8 p.m., but overhead around midnight. And this is wherever you are in the world. But with Mars and Jupiter both standing still and stopping going retrograde, their position in terms of longitude isn't changing, but their position in terms of latitude is. And what that means is that for those of you who've got a clear sky, you're going to see the position of Jupiter dropping in the sky. It will still be in the same degree of longitude, but in terms of latitude, it will get lower, moving further south towards the celestial equator. Similarly with Mars, which has been very high in the European and North American skies, it's going to start dropping into the southern skies as the month goes on. Now, what does all this mean? I've talked about the astronomy. What about the astrology? For many, many months now, years, I've been looking at 2025 and thinking, oops, 2025 is the game changer. And the closer we've got to it, the more definitive I've been able to be about the specific times in question. And it is the period of early mid-March 2025 to late April 2026 that is the nexus of this big period of compressed and concentrated change. And the first tidal wave of this is coming in March, when we have this gigantic lineup at the end of March and early April, which will not be visible to most people, or to anyone really, because much of the lineup is either going to be too close to the sun to be seen or too far away from the Earth to be seen. Nevertheless, the impacts will be felt big time. But that's March. And I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on what's coming up in March over the coming weeks. In February, it's like a continuation of January in that there's a lot of challenging news coming from the power brokers, the banks, the governments, presidents, the war zones, all jockeying for position to try and maintain their power hold in situations that are rapidly becoming untenable and redundant. The dinosaurs are getting ready to become extinct. And over this next year, year and a quarter, we're going to see the collapse and downfall of a number of ancient establishment organizations that have basically passed their sell-by date and have come to the end of their shelf life. We're heading into a period of turmoil. I do not believe this is going to turn into a global war or a massive economic crash or anything like many people on the internet seem to be predicting. But I do feel it's going to lead to a fundamental shift in the idea of nation states, individual human rights, and the way that countries and governments are run. As a result, I expect during February further pronouncements from most governments around a kind of almost panic-driven way of trying to maintain a vestige of apparent stability. The bottom line is it's not stable. And things are about to not so much implode, but to change. So how can we work with this as individuals? And here's where I find my biggest paradox. Because here am I and many other good astrologers all predicting that these times are times of fantastic change, big change in the world that's going to affect all of us in a way that's permanent for the long-term future. And yet, I haven't done that many readings in the last month, only about 25, 30. But over the last few months, I've not been doing many readings because I'm busy doing this documentary and I've got a long waiting list. But those readings I am doing, the vast majority of people, 90% of people I'm doing readings for, to my surprise and to my pleasure, I find myself saying to the vast majority of people, hey, this is looking quite a good year for you. And most people seem to be in for a good year, as opposed to most corporate groups, banks, governments, nation states, military, economic, financial institutions, which all seem to be resisting the need for adaptable and flexible change because they're wedded to the status quo. Human individuals are open to flexibility and adaptability, especially those open to astrology, of course. So if I were to summarize this in a kind of forecast for individuals over this coming month, I would say keep flexible, stay Teflon coated, dance, get your roller skates on, surf, adapt. Don't take anything too seriously. Don't believe the hype and the spin. It's crazier than you think, and it's the opposite of what's being portrayed. We're all going to move into an enhanced field of intelligent, receptive, conscious ways of seeing and being in the world. And the establishment doesn't want this because they've enjoyed 2,000 years of control. So dance with it, folks. Individually, there's nothing we can do except smile, laugh, dance, and put some joy and love into the world. Makes me sound like a hippie, I know. But by doing this collectively, one smile goes a long, long way. A little grin, a little bit of laughter can travel the globe in a split second. Find the joy, keep dancing. Don't take yourself, anyone else, or anything else too seriously. Live life for the moment. Catch you next month. Take care, world. Bye.